Did you know that only 7 states allow concealed carries on campus? 21 states banned it and 22 leave it up for the college. As you can see, there's different views on a concealed handgun. And, what one is correct, who's right, we don't know. But I have some pros and cons that can help you decide where you stand on this situation. So here we'll start with the pros. According to an FBI's crime data analysis, states that implemented the concealed handgun have 8.5% less murders, 5% less rapes, 7% less assaults, and 3% less robberies. This supports the idea that the concealed handgun can deter crime. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Responsible citizens should have the right to arm themselves against criminals with handguns. Okay, we have the Second Amendment, which states we have the right to bear arms. Therefore, we should be able to carry a concealed weapon, okay? That makes sense. It's a law. You can't really argue that unless we vote against it, but it's in the Constitution as of right now. The right to carry a concealed handgun is guaranteed, okay? We really, you can't argue it. Majority of adults are law-abiding citizens and use firearms properly, okay? But that doesn't mean all. Most of them are. That makes sense. Carrying a concealed handgun could help prevent a public shooting spree, okay? That makes sense because when you have a criminal with a gun and he wants to go on a shooting spree, where is he going to go? I don't think he's going to go to the police station where they can shoot back at him, okay? Well, if we have people with concealed carries in a mall or a school, he's probably not going to want to go there because they're going to shoot back at him. He won't get a shooting spree. He'll die real shortly if he pulls the trigger. So, that makes perfect sense. And according to an April 2012 poll, 75% of Americans support laws that back concealed handguns. Clearly, the people in the U.S. feel more comfortable with the ability to have a concealed carry. Alright, so here's some cons to go against this. Allowing handguns increased crime. A study showed from 1977 to 2010, we had a 2% increase in murder and at least 9% increase in rapes, aggravated assaults, robbery, and theft and larceny, according to a published paper by the National Bureau of Economic Research. Okay, that directly conflicts with the other information we had in the pros. So, carrying a concealed handgun increases the chance of confrontation escalating and turning lethal. Okay, so if someone's arguing at a bar or wherever it may be, and it gets heated, if they have a gun on their hip, they are a lot more likely to use it than if they don't have a gun. They're not going to go home, get the gun, and come back. If they have the gun on them, they'll probably pull it if they're that angry. So it can increase something little turning into something really big and becoming lethal maybe. The Second Amendment rights have limits. So that doesn't mean it states specifically that we can have concealed carries. Instead it does state a well-regulated militia is necessary to maintain a safe, secure, free state, and therefore we have the right to bear arms. And that must not be infringed. Okay, so it's pretty clear what it's saying. We have a right to own a gun. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to carry it on us all the time. If we're in public, we don't necessarily need it. We have cops for that, Concealed carry application requirements and background checks do not prevent dangerous people from acquiring guns. This is true. If someone goes in and says, I want a gun, they can do a background check. They can do, whatever requirements they want to go through. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are not dangerous with the gun. They can easily just flip out, spaz out, whatever it is, just at the snap of a fingers. They can do it, It doesn't stop them. Anyway, criminals are more likely to carry a gun if they think victims are armed. That's true because they want the upper hand. I mean, if they're going to go rob someone and they know they have a gun, they probably are going to have a gun too. You know, they're not going to go in and put themselves, put their lives at risk. Public safety should be left to qualified professionals and police officers, not private citizens with little to no training. This is true because that doesn't necessarily mean they're trained properly. If they have a gun, they could possibly, miss a couple things where, they're not properly holding it or something, that can be dangerous. Concealed weapon laws make the non-carrying public feel less safe. I can understand that. If you are walking around in public and you know there are people with guns and you don't know if they're, qualified to use it, that can be a major problem. That would make someone feel unsafe. So in conclusion, states that crimes go up and down, depending on which, what one you go off of. I mean, some statistics show one way, some show another. I mean, it's kind of up for grabs. Responsible citizens should be able to bear arms, but they are not guaranteed. They're not responsible. You can't guarantee that they're responsible people. They could easily just lie about it or something. Bearing arms is in the Constitution, but it's not specified that it's a concealed carry. Most are law-abiding citizens, but not all. You can't guarantee it. Guns should remain in professionals' hands, but not everyone can rely on police. And many Americans feel safe with a gun, but for those who are not carrying a gun, they may feel less safe. So there's the facts. You decide.